Hello, and welcome to a special Saturday impromptu episode of Deprogrammed with Keri Smith. Thank you for being here. And for regular folks, hey, Dion. Hello, Therese. For regular folks, I'm sorry I couldn't stream yesterday. I'm still working on this project down in Austin. I'm working on a comedy show, and I've mentioned it before, writing on this project, and it's a lot of fun. And I don't think I can say anything else about it yet, but as soon as I can, I will say something about it. I'm very excited about it. And unfortunately, I couldn't stream yesterday because of that. So there's a lot going on. We are living through another cultural inflection point. We are living through another attempted communist coup, a war on God, a war on family, a war on this country. And this time, the cloak that the leftists are wearing is the cloak of immigration. They're pretending it's about ICE and immigration, just like during the BLM riots, they pretended it was about Black people, just like during Trump's first inauguration in 2017, they pretended it was about Trump, just like when they do their pussy marches, they pretend it's about women, just like at Pride, they pretend it's about gay people, just like they pretend that the No King's Day parades are about Trump. None of this is about anything except communist revolution and destruction of our country, our culture, the family, and God, a belief in God. These are tarantulas. I'm gonna get to that in a second, what they are. Um, but I wanted to John Bertram says, "Sorry, I just saw this. Thanks for not sporting a beard today." Hey, if you didn't see it, I got a new, comedy short up, and just check out the shorts if you're on YouTube, and, it was a lot of fun, and John Bertram doesn't like it when I wear it. He says it's disturbing when I wear the beards. I love wigs. I love beards. I have a whole costume closet, and, but I get it. It is a little disturbing. Some people on that video said they thought that was a real person, which makes me laugh. Anyway, good evening. Thanks for being here. I wanted to talk about the personality types that are in these so-called, supposedly anti-ICE protests. And I wrote a new piece over at Substack. If you are interested, you can follow me there for essays. I think I've put out about 5 so far this month after the new year. And I don't do a whole lot of them, so you won't get inundated with it, and almost all of them are free. There is a paid subscription for those who want to support my writing or support the channel, but so far I think there's only 1 or 2 that were private, 2 that were private possibly. Anyway, okay, this is the new article. Iceholes are the new Covidiots. And I'm proposing, I'm hereby saying this is what we're going to call these leftist agitators, these protesters from now on, as iceholes. I think it's funny. I love wordplay. So iceholes are the new Covidiots, 7 kinds of leftist sheeple in the anti-ICE movement. And I'll just read it because I think I said it better here than I can off the cuff, and I'm going to keep this one kind of short. Iceholes are the new Covidiots. It's the same easily manipulated cohort. There are some overlapping personality traits in that cohort. If I were to try to put it into words, here they go. Here we go. The 7 of them. Number 1, weak minds. These are not deep thinkers. Most of them haven't even thought about illegal immigration, not once. They don't think about it. If you try to have a conversation with them and ask them, what do you think about this? What about this? If you try and give them stats, they don't know a lot of stats. They don't know a lot of data. They've never actually done thinking. Hearing an opinion from your tribe, emotionally pinging with it, accepting it as a received opinion that's given to you, and then copy pasting it into your mouth is zombie robot behavior. These people haven't engaged in thinking yet. So these are weak minds. They're not deep thinkers. Most of them haven't thought about illegal immigration, not even once, but they express received opinions on it. These people are more susceptible to propaganda. They're the gullible and the foolish. And a lot of them also fell right into the COVID propaganda hole. These are the people who were believing every lie as it changed, as it got twisted, as they rewrote the lies. Remember when Rachel Maddow was saying, if you take the vaccine, you can't get COVID. They were all saying that at the beginning. Then it was like, "Oh, well, you can get COVID, but you can't transmit it. Oops, you can still transmit it, but the symptoms will be less." Yeah. It was just this constant lying, and these guys fell in with all of it. All of it. Okay, number 2, weak characters. These people are weak in terms of moral and ethical stamina in the face of social pressure to conform. They are more susceptible to a fear of witch hunting, the social pressure. They have fragile egos and they care too much what others think of them, like it's middle school. Now, of course, these different kinds of groups, these different types who are in this leftist cabal, who are at these anti-ICE protests, like they can be in more than one of these groups. These are often overlapping. But I just was trying to think about how could I break it down into the different personality types? And some of them are more than one of these, of course. So weak characters, weak people, weak men, weak women, they don't have a backbone. They're very susceptible to social pressure. During the Salem witch hunts, they would have been pulling people into the kangaroo courts. We saw these people of weak character during the COVID years as well. They were so afraid of what the neighbors would think, what the people on Facebook would think. They're very susceptible to social pressure. Number 3, tribalists, or those most strongly conditioned by tribalism. We are all conditioned by tribalism to some degree. I don't think you can escape it because we're under this. We're in in the middle of a constant propaganda war, and a lot of the left's radical actions and behaviors are intended to provoke an emotional response from us. And you can see that happening over time. You can even sometimes witness it in yourself. It's meant to grow tribalism. That's why they go out and they're attacking ICE officers. They're doxing them. They're hunting them down at their homes. They're posting their home addresses. They're sending death threats to their family members. They're trying to provoke a response. It was like in January 2017, after Trump was the first time he was elected. Now, I didn't vote for him. I was still slowly leaving the woke cult. And at that time, I still believed a lot of the leftist propaganda. And I was one of those leftists crying when he was elected in 2016. Oh no, they elected a demagogue. It's a slow process leaving a cult. So I was on my way out, but I was towards the beginning of leaving. And But I remember watching. My eyes were open. My eyes had been opened in the summer of 2016 is when I had the first crack in my belief system, radical leftist ideology, woke ideology. And so I had been watching, and in 2017, January, I saw the leftists, the same people, the same organizations. It's always some kind of black bloc Antifa tied organizing thing. They're at everything. They're at the women's pussy marches. They're at BLM. They're part of it. They're part of this rapid response networks that are cropping up around ICE. Like they glom onto anything they can use to advance the revolution. It's like I said at the beginning, it's never about the issue. Their own quote is the issue is never the issue. The issue is always advancing the revolution. And so back in January of 2017, the first time Trump was elected, these same people held these huge protests and riots in DC at the inauguration. I'm sure some of you guys remember this. I was watching it closely. In their own materials about the riots, they were saying, we want to make it as violent and as chaotic as possible so that Trump and his goons have to shut down the inauguration and bring in a police force to protect themselves. So they look like what? So they look like the fascists we think they are. That's basically what they said. This is why they attack the ICE officers, because they want the ICE officers to put on masks to protect their identity since they're being doxxed and their families are receiving death threats. They want them to, quote unquote, look like jackbooted thugs. I've said before, I think the masking is a mistake, but I understand why they're doing it. And these tribalists, these idiots, none of them were protesting Obama's None of them were protesting his deportations. Obama deported 3 million people. You didn't hear a peep from the left, did you? There were no rapid response networks, that Antifa set up and created in all these cities. There were none of these protests out in the street. Back when Obama was deporting 3 million, the leftists were not doxing, harassing, posting the identities of ICE agents. They were not going to their homes, sending death threats to their wives and children. That wasn't happening. So these morons now who are like, "What? They're wearing masks because they're not." They're wearing masks because you guys are trying to kill them. You wanted the masks. You wanted the masks. You wanna make it look a certain way. So these tribalists are the most strongly conditioned by tribalism. Press the right left button and they're Pavlov's dog. This Trump fixation that they have right now is just a current modification of the right left button. It'll change when Trump's out of office. They had the same. I was one of them back when the right left button had the face of Bush. All they had to say was W, and we were like frothing at the mouth. It changes. They change the face of it every time. They'll change it to Vance at some point or DeSantis or whoever they want to attack. They'll personalize it, just like Saul Alinsky talks about. They'll personalize it, isolate it, freeze the target, attack, right? But these are the most strongly conditioned by tribalism. And you can during COVID, it was very easy to recognize them because at the beginning, I've mentioned this before, but at the beginning, before the right left button was pushed, you saw people splitting on the issue of COVID policy, authoritarian COVID policy, and the policy was authoritarian, make no mistake. If you don't know what that word means, leftist, then maybe you shouldn't use it. But a government saying you don't have a right to leave your home, a government saying you don't have a right to, open your coffee shop and run your small business, a government saying you don't have a right to open your church, that's authoritarianism. And when the authoritarianism first started, you saw people splitting along more natural lines over whether they were authoritarian, whether their personalities leaned more towards authoritarianism or towards individualism and liberty, libertarianism, you could call it, little l, libertarianism. And so at the beginning, I remember seeing conservative Republican friends, family, some of them who lean a little more authoritarian, and they were all for the lockdowns and stuff, some of them. And I saw a bunch of leftists who at the beginning, again, before the tribalism button got pushed, a bunch of leftists who were anti-big pharma and distrustful of government, who were against the lockdowns and against the mask mandates. But as that propaganda left-right psyop button got pushed, what happened? Almost all of the leftists went over to suddenly being the biggest fans of big pharma, the biggest fans of authoritarianism, the biggest fans of government control and force. They even threw their supposed belief in bodily autonomy right out the window. My body, my choice. Unless it's a vaccine mandate, then you better let the government force that into you. My body, my choice. Unless it's a mask mandate, then you put the mask on your kids, right? The government's going to force the mask on your kids with no scientific evidence to its efficacy. They're hardcore tribalists. There were a few lefties I know who did not react. They're not tribalists. They're lefties, but they're not tribalists. There were a few I knew who continued to protest the mask mandates and the lockdowns every weekend in Georgetown on the town square. These are lefties. God bless those lefties. It was a handful of them, but they were true to their beliefs. The button didn't work on them. But these that you see out in the street, a bunch of them are just the most hardcore tribalists. That's all it is. The left-right button gets pushed and boom, there they go, little robots. Protecting our borders should not be a partisan issue. Enforcing the law is not a partisan issue, not naturally. If you've been convinced that it is, like, I'm sorry, you're brainwashed, you're a puppet. You apparently don't have any agency over yourself, your own mind, your body. Okay, number 4, sadists. There's another type that you see out at this, all of these ICE protests, the violence that we see people inflicting on ICE agents, trying to kill them, trying to run them over with their car, doxing them, harassing their families, sending death threats, acting out in public. You will see number 4, sadists. Sadists who enjoy that this new ideology or movement gives them attempted cover for their abuse, harassment, and terrorism of Christians and conservatives. These are people who take advantage of whatever the current thing is to abuse and hurt people. They love it. We saw the sadists during COVID too, remember? We saw the sadists. The sadists were the ones who loved trying to enforce these new authoritarian rules on you, on passersby. I remember one of these little sadists, my husband and I were hiking in the Tetons, and this woman, we're in the middle of nowhere at the top of this beautiful mountain, and there was nobody out there, and this woman coming down the mountain wearing masks with her husband yells at us. And it was like, "Oh gosh, sadist, you love this. You love it." Those are the people who, if you've ever read, um, oh gosh, it's, I've got it right behind me, Ordinary Men by Christopher Browning. This is an excellent book. If you haven't read it, um, let me remove this for a second. I read this years ago. Jordan Peterson recommended it. We read it for book club, and it was one of the best reads ever for book club. It's basically a historical and psychological account of one group of reserve police officers during Nazi Germany who it was Police Battalion 101. And so when I say reserve police officers, these were guys who they weren't regular police officers. It was in Poland. They were like doctors or, lawyers. They had jobs. They were in the reserves, right? Well, Hitler made this one police battalion, reserve battalion, in charge of exterminating Jews. And this is an attempted historical account of all the different people who were in that battalion and trying to understand how ordinary men, that's where the title comes from, can be persuaded and convinced to do great evil. And he breaks it down into different personality types as well. The reluctant ones, the ones who are, I should pick this up and look and see how many overlap with the little list I made, but they're, the ones who are susceptible to social pressure, right? All of and the sadists, they're the ones who love it. They get off on it. They were made for it. They're excited it's happening. They get to use it to abuse. So a portion of these leftists out there at the ICE protests are straight up sadists. Number 5, other cluster B personality disorder people like histrionics and borderlines who enjoy the opportunity for histrionic attention-getting spectacle. These are the cry bullies. These are all those ridiculous personality disordered, mostly white women. White women have, out of every demographic, they have the highest rates of SSRI antidepressant use. They have the least they have the lowest level of life satisfaction. White women. They have the highest depression rates, mental illness. Over 56% of them have been diagnosed with a mental illness. That's over half of leftist, specifically leftist white women. 56% of them mentally ill. And those are just the ones who are diagnosed. A lot of times those with personality disorders will not go see a psychiatrist. So you've got this whole group, these personality disordered cluster B leftist white women out there. They enjoy the opportunity for histrionic attention-getting spectacle. These are the cry bullies. For this group, it's pure narcissism. It's performance and public emotional dysregulation dysfunction. It feeds them attention supply, what's called narcissistic supply, right? They jump from issue to issue, feeding. They're feasting on it. These are the women, like in these videos we've been watching, these crazy white women trying to fight with ICE agents. These are the ones who are getting arrested and as they're being carried away are screaming, "Let me go. I'm autistic. I was trying to go to the doctor. Let me go. Like I have a brain injury." Like they're cry bullying. They're the aggressor. They are the attacker. They're the ones breaking the law, and then they play the victim. Josh Slocum, a disaffected, calls it briar patching. Don't throw me in the briar patch. Don't make me a victim. I wouldn't want to use that on social media to feign victimhood. That's what they are on their fainting couches. Number 6, the professional activist, con artist, grifter, snake oil salesman. This is just a grift for this type, baby. How much money can they raise? How much power can they take? This is the type who is at the top of an organization like BLM, for example, and absconds with millions and millions of dollars and beachfront properties and multiple mansions. These are the grifters at the top of the organizations. These are professional activists who are in it to win it, like to get as much as they can out of this quote unquote movement. And number 7, this brings me to the last one, this group, the habitual drunks and drug addicts. Both illicit and pharmaceutical drugs, because remember I mentioned over 56% of leftist white women have been diagnosed with a mental illness. They are the highest number. They have the highest number of people on SSRIs and antidepressants. The New York Times shared a chart. I don't have it pulled up. I've shown it on previous episodes, but their SSRI use has skyrocketed more than any other demographic. It's funny because they would likely say, if you ask them, like, why are so many leftist white women mentally ill and depressed and taking antidepressants? And they would probably say, it's oppression. Is it? Because black men and black women are way down at the bottom of that graph. And you white ladies like to claim they're the most oppressed. Are you more oppressed than them? I think you're just more mentally ill than them. But let me continue. Number 7, habitual drunks and drug addicts, both illicit and pharmaceutical drugs. This group is miserable, and they only want to drag others down to their level of misery while also focusing all of their repressed self-loathing onto others outside of themselves. So these guys they project. These are the big projectors. Fueled by resentment at life itself. Like these people resent being itself. This kind could just as easily have become mass shooters. But becoming angry leftists is a more socially acceptable mask for their hatred of themselves, God, and mankind. They get to feel like good people for a moment, these drunks and drug addicts, while they focus all of ideology, like Solzhenitsyn says, gives evildoers justification for doing evil. It allows them to direct all of their loathing outside of themselves onto some straw man they've created of what a Trump voter is, what a conservative is, while their life is in shambles. Jordan Peterson had a lot of great advice for this group. And by the way, my husband and I are both recovering alcoholics. We've been sober 6 years now. 6 years and some change. This type needs to grow up. They need to grow up and they need to set down all of that resentment they're carrying, and they need to pick up their cross, shoulder their responsibility for their own life. It's like the Cain and Abel allegory in the Bible that Jordan Peterson talked about. They are living like Cain, not like Abel. They're not doing anything about all of the problems in their life, all of the things that are in their sphere of control and influence, the things they could actually have an impact on, like quitting drinking, cleaning up your house, getting a job, doing something meaningful and useful with yourself that builds self-esteem and confidence, doing something healthy, losing weight, quitting the drugs, going off all of the pharmaceuticals, quitting all the pot, quitting the porn addiction. But those are hard things, the things that are within their sphere of control. It's much easier to stay drunk all the time and then to join whatever protest is happening and to post angry rants on Facebook. That's the 7th type. This is a picture of the 7 types in Minneapolis protesting. I included here too, Nietzsche called them tarantulas. And this is one I love this piece. I've mentioned it several times over the years. You should read the whole thing. It'll give you goosebumps. I remember the first time I read it and I thought, "Oh my goodness, he's describing woke people," except it's not like a lot of these people, these great thinkers that we tend to look at as, prophets, like they were prophetic, they had some advanced knowledge of what was to come. It's not that they have knowledge of what's to come, it's that they know what's happening now in the time that they're writing about. They know human nature. So they're writing about it, and when we read it all this time later and we're like, "Wow, how could they see the future?" It's 'cause human nature doesn't change. I would put some other people in the same category. C.S. Lewis is one, George Orwell, Huxley, there's several. John Bertram, now you're just picking on me. What are you talking about? Are you talking to someone else? I don't know what you're talking about. If something I said hit you, or you felt struck by an arrow, I wasn't I mean, did the arrow hit you? I wasn't intending to hit you. Okay. So I wanna read part of this to you because it's so good. "Lo, this is the tarantula's den. Wouldst thou see the tarantula itself? Here hangeth its web. Touch this, so it may tremble. There cometh the tarantula willingly. Welcome, tarantula. Black on thy back is thy triangle and symbol, and I know also what is in thy soul. Revenge is in thy soul. Wherever thou bitest, there ariseth black scab. With revenge, thy poison maketh the soul giddy. Thus do I speak unto you in parable, ye who make the soul giddy, ye preachers of equality, ye preachers of equality. But really, it's revenge that they want. It's resentment. It's revenge. This is the way all throughout history. My husband's reading a book about the French Revolution right now. It's fascinating. We keep talking about it. And the different types of people who were caught up in the revolution. And one of those types has been described in the book he's reading as, the resentful type, the type who wanted revenge. Again, you see this over and over and over again throughout history because personality types, human nature doesn't change. We all have the capacity for good and evil. As Alexander Solzhenitsyn says, the line dividing good and evil runs right down the center of every man's heart. God gave us free will so we can choose. We have a myriad of choices every day how we live, and some people have made so many choices to do evil that it's basically like they've made one big choice for evil in their life. That's how they live. Ye preachers of equality, he says, tarantulas are ye unto me, and secretly revengeful ones. But I will soon bring your hiding places to the light. Therefore do I laugh in your face my laughter of the height. Therefore do I tear at your web, that your rage may lure you out of your den of lies, and that your revenge may leap forth from behind your word, justice. Gosh, right? Doesn't it sound, it's like social justice warriors, am I right? Racial justice. Climate justice. Why do you think they put that word in so many things? If you have to put a qualifier usually, if you have to put a qualifier in front of a word like justice, that's because 'cause you're trying to pervert and change the meaning of justice. It's like when leftists abuse you and they say they're practicing radical kindness. It's like, "Wait a minute, radical kindness is abuse? That's kind of like not kindness." Sounds like social justice is not very just. It sounds like climate justice is not very just. Therefore do I tear at your web, that your rage may lure you out of your den of lies, and that your revenge may leap forth from behind your word, justice. Because for man to be redeemed from revenge, that is for me the bridge to the highest hope and a rainbow after long storms. Otherwise, however, would the tarantulas have it. Quote, let it be very justice for the world to become full of the storms of our vengeance, end quote. Thus do they talk to one another. You see this here, this spitefulness, let it be very justice for the world to become full of the storms of our vengeance. These people are full of chaos and destruction, resentment, envy, revenge, like he's talking about. They want the world to become full of the storms of their wrath, of their vengeance. Quote, vengeance we will use and insult against all who are not like us, end quote. Nailed them. Nailed them. Thus do the tarantula hearts pledge themselves, quote, "And will to equality? That itself shall henceforth be the name of virtue. And against all that hath power, we will raise an outcry," end quote. Will to equality. This is how they cover this whole equity thing that we talk about now. That's not equal. They wanna take from some, from some, and give to others. That's not fair. That's not just. That's not equal. That's communism. They wanna pretend that thieving, stealing, oppressing is virtue. Their will to equality is virtuous. That's what they wanna pretend. So he says to them, "Ye preachers of equality, the tyrant frenzy of impotence crieth thus in you for equality. Your most secret tyrant longings disguise themselves thus in virtue words." Ah, sorry, I almost pulled my headphones out. This is what he's talking about, woke people. He's nailing them. They are these tarantulas, these preachers of equality. He criticizes the tyrant frenzy of impotence when they cry equality. He says, "Your most secret tyrant longings disguise themselves thus in your virtue words." Ugh. They cloak themselves in all of this crap that they don't believe in, the exact opposite of what they are. They cloak themselves in words like justice and equality and fairness and tolerance and love, affirmation. That's a big clue right there. You know, when they cut children's breasts off, they call it affirming when they mutilate kids' bodies. Fretted conceit and suppressed envy, perhaps your father's conceit and envy, in you break forth as flame in a frenzy of vengeance. What the Father hath hid cometh out in the Son, and oft I have found in the Son the Father's revealed secret. Inspired ones they resemble, but it is not the heart that inspireth them, but vengeance. And when they become subtle and cold, it is not spirit, but envy. Envy, underline that, envy that maketh them so. Their jealousy leadeth them also into thinkers' paths. And this is the sign of their jealousy. They always go too far, so that their fatigue hath at last to go to sleep on the snow. In all their lamentations soundeth vengeance. In all their eulogies is malfeasance. I can't say that word. And being judged seemeth to them bliss. But thus do I counsel you, my friends, distrust all in whom the impulse to punish is powerful. Ah, this part. But thus do I counsel you, my friends, distrust all in whom the impulse to punish is powerful. That's what they are. The sadists, the ones who want to punish, the ones who who during COVID were ecstatic. They are people of bad race and lineage. Out of their countenances peer the hangman and the sleuth hound. Distrust all those who talk much of their justice. Verily in their souls not only honey is lacking, and when they call themselves the good and just, forget not that for them to be Pharisees, nothing is lacking but power. Power is at the center of woke ideology. It's in all of their rewrites, their new definitions. Like when they try to redefine words to control people. They try to redefine words like racism and sexism, and they teach you racism equals what? They say racism isn't what you think it is. They say racism is prejudice plus power. They say sexism is not what you think it is. Sexism is prejudice plus power. Then, using their new definitions, they say what? They say it's impossible to be racist towards white people because white people as a group, they have power. This is their, I almost said a curse word, their messed up ideology. This is their cult ideology. They say it's impossible to be sexist towards men because men as a group have power. When a woke person dies, what do they all post on social media? I used to say this too when I was in their cult. They don't say rest in peace. They say rest in power. That tells you everything about what they worship. All of this out in the streets, all of these demonstrations is about power. So it goes on. I'm going to stop because my husband is going to do a music stream and I want us to go join it. And I wanted this one to be a short one, but I'll thank 4 people. Please go read the Substack if you have a chance. That piece, Tarantulas, is amazing. I've read it so many times. Every time it hits like that, like, yes. Push-ups for $5. Thank you. Push-up says, nagging reminder that we should read The True Believer by Eric Hoffer for book club. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you. We are going to do that this year. I'm not going to say try to. I'm saying we are doing that this year. John Bertram, for 10 pounds, Mr. John Bertram says, my soccer team is killing it at the moment. Good. I'm glad. I was thinking soccer is not as big over here as it is where you are. We are more into American football, although we do have some big soccer fans here. Oh, hey, Jason. Good to see you, dude. It's been a while. Good to see you. For $5 says, when leftist women defend migrant criminals, I think it's what Peterson described as Eve's sin of believing that she can clutch the serpent to her breast. Yes. Yes. Either way, it is a perversion of creation, of what we're created to do. It's a total moral inversion is what I mean. And then Grammar, I can't say that, for $5 says, Inspiring Philosophy just dropped a video about revenge addiction. Check it out. What's it called? Inspiring Philosophy. P.S. What's the French Revolution book? Hold on, let me write this down. Inspiring Philosophy. I don't even think I know that channel. The book is a biography of Marie Antoinette, and my husband found it. There's a vintage bookstore we like to go to near us. That's just fantastic. It has amazing collection of vintage books, and it's not too expensive. And he just randomly found this one there. And then later, he got me listening to this great podcast called The Rest is History. And it's one of the books, it's about Marie Antoinette, and it's one of the books that they actually recommended. He didn't know that when we found it. And it's great. If he's I was thinking he might put the name of it in here, but let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, I'm all bundled up because it's cold here. I don't know about where you guys are at. I'm gonna find the author and I'll post a link to the exact book in the comments. Drop me a comment on this video if you don't mind, and just remind me that you want the name of it. Oh, here we go. My husband says it's called Portrait of a Lady, Marie Antoinette by Stefan Zweig. Zweig. Okay. I'm gonna Hey, yes, Reagan, rest in power. I've always thought that was a twisted phrase. It's totally twisted. That's what they that's what they think of it like a religion. That's what they find important. When someone dies, instead of saying rest in peace, they purposefully change it. They took time to think about it and say, "No. We're not gonna wish that they rest in peace. We're gonna wish that they rest in power." You know? It's all about the revolution. Even in death, you can't be free of the communist revolution. Oh, man. Okay, I'm logging off. My husband is gonna live stream, since a lot of people are in Texas anyway, are inside for the winter weekend. He's gonna live stream at Anthony Music without the A, Anthony Music, and, you can find it on YouTube at Anthony Garcia Music, and I hope you will join me there. Do a raid. If you go over to Anthony's channel here, let me post it in the I'll post a link to the live stream. Go into his comments and say, "This is a raid." Uh, here it is. Okay, if you're on YouTube, you can grab that link. My husband says, "I had 2 gigs canceled today, that's why I'm streaming." Yeah, canceled because of the weather. Yeah, Texas, we're not built for all of this, cold like some of you guys. We don't have the infrastructure for it, or for my case, we don't have the bodily constitution for it. I don't like it. So, everything changes when we have a storm. It's like, at least we insulated underneath our house, so it's not as cold down here as it used to be. I know some of you guys have been here a while, remember when you could see your breath in our house. That's how cold it was. And Tiger's water dish froze into a solid block of ice, which we were just laughing about that this morning, like how far we've come since those days when it was like below freezing down here. Okay, I will see you guys later. Hopefully, I'll see you in the chat on my husband's live stream, Anthony Music. One last person to thank. David Sumner said, "Thank you." Says, "If a Fox News person had done what Don Lemon did, yes, in a mosque instead of a church, is there even the slightest chance that he would not get prison time? Nope. Nope. Forget prison time. They would have already pulled him out, tarred and feathered him. Like, nope. It's a double standard with these people." Okay, I'll see you guys later. Hope to see you on my husband's channel. Take care.